You are listening to Let's Talk Trio on podcasts. Keep up with the latest episodes by downloading the Podbean app or stream episodes via our social media accounts. Search for Let's Talk Trio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This podcast episode is brought to you by Lonsdale Publishing. Is your program seeking ways to assess your students' college readiness? Does your program need a tool to document the effectiveness of your program? Lonsdale Publishing is excited to offer the Strategic Learning Assessment, a 20-minute online assessment that provides recommendations and strategies to improve academic performance across 11 learning areas: communication, critical thinking, effective learning strategies, focus and concentration, growth mindset, persistence, seeking help, sense of belonging, stress management, test preparation, and time management. For as little as $3 per student, the Strategic Learning Assessment identifies strengths and areas for growth, along with tailored recommendations for each learning area. Want a complimentary sample account for yourself and 5 students? Contact Lonsdale Publishing at 727-389-8026. Again, that number is 727-389-8026. Or visit our website for more information at www.longsdale.com. That website again is www.longsdale.com. Lonsdale Publishing, your partner in student success. This episode is sponsored by Student Access. Student Access, the leader in Trio software. Student Access is an online database solution that allows Trio programs to track their students' information, connect with students by text messages, streamline the APR, and work from anywhere, all online, with automatic updates for changes from the Department of Education. Their technical support team includes former Trio staff and has over 50 years of combined experience working with Trio. Make it easier to focus on your priority, the students. For more information and to request a free demo, visit their website at www.studentaccess.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-801-1232. That website again is www.studentaccess.com or 1-800-801-1232. Be sure to share your favorite episodes on your social media by tapping that share button. This is a great way to support the podcast. Now here's your host, Juan Rivas.
Thank you, Amelia, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, listener, and welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Trio. This is Season 7, Episode 17. I am your host, Juan Rivas. Before we begin, some community announcements. Trio Nation, be sure to call your congressional representatives to defend the TRIO programs. The Trump administration is seeking to eliminate the TRIO programs in their most recent proposed budget. Take action now by spreading the word and contacting your congressional representatives. Let them know TRIO works. In today's episode, we have Tyler Loven, graduate of Metropolitan State University in Denver and TRIO Student Support Services alum. Tyler's on the podcast to share his own life experience, his educational journey, which involves transferring to a different institution, and graduating from MSU Denver. Coming up in just a bit, Tyler Loven. A heartfelt thanks to our individual supporters, Angelica Villalpando, Rosario Riley, Dr. Ryan Barone, Dr. Jamie Motley, Dr. Jeff Naputi, Angelica Valdez, Felicia Rivera, Eric Lamaster, Jeff Calden, and Jaded Electronics. Thank you to our corporate sponsors, TrioJoblist.com, Nosotros Education Center, Longsdale Publishing, Student Access, and thetriostore.com, powered by Proforma. Visit www.thetriostore.com, your source for Trio graduation stoles. Thank you all so much for your continued support of this podcast. You too can be a sponsor of the podcast. Head on over to Patreon and search for Let's Talk Trio. Choose one of 4 patron levels. You can support this podcast for as little as $1 a month. If you own a business that serves the Trio community and want to sponsor the podcast, we have different sponsorship packages available. Contact us for details. Become a supporter with a one-time donation to the podcast business PayPal account. Our business handle is Let's Talk Trio. Your support helps lift Trio voices. If you would like to nominate a participant, staff, or alumni to be on the podcast, send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. That email again is letstalktrio@gmail.com. Again, a great episode featuring Tyler Loven, Trio Student Support Services alum and graduate of Metropolitan State University in Denver. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode.
Hi, Trio Nation. My guest on the Let's Talk Trio podcast was one of the very first guests on this pod quite a while ago. In fact, you can listen to his episode from season 1. The link is provided in the podcast description. He is a graduate of Metropolitan State University in Denver, and he graduated in spring of 2025 with a bachelor's in individualized studies with an emphasis in advocacy. We welcome back to the podcast, Tyler Loven. Tyler, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back.
Man, it is so good to see you, first of all. It's been a minute, and we last saw you when you were still at Colorado State University. Since then, obviously, things have changed. But before we get into that, I know that you and we remain connected through social media. We occasionally pop in, and you like one of my photos, or I'll go in and check and like one of your photos. I really love that you recently graduated from Metropolitan State University.
Yeah, it was a great university. I've really enjoyed keeping in touch, following your podcasts and all that, and it's amazing how much it's expanded over the years.
Right, I hear that because you remember you were one of the very first guests that I had. We were a very small podcast, and now it's grown and it's now like nationally. It's reached a national audience, so people are hearing your story, hearing various Trio stories. So in the last episode we had you on, you were a student at Colorado State University. In fact, that's how we connected. You were a student of the Academic Advancement Center through the Trio Student Support Services program. Obviously, things have changed. Can you tell the audience about this change?
Well, during the spring of 2020, before the pandemic hit, I had taken that semester off. And I'm very grateful that I did. That was a very smart decision, because by the time the pandemic came around and everybody was making that switch to online,
mm-hmm.
And I was working at Central Receiving with the university up there at Fort Collins, and I was watching a lot of the other student staff making that switch and talking about it. Oh, it's so stressful. I don't know what to do. I'm so used to in-person classes, and like, man, I'm glad I took this semester off.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still, and not to bring too much emphasis on the negative parts of that time, but at the time, I was dealing with some issues at the time, and there was one point when things were kind of heavy for me. Excuse me. Where I was like, I need to make a change. Something needs to happen. Something needs to change. I'm not getting very far at CSU, and so a couple of friends of mine from the community college I went to, their names are Sebastian and Dominic. I was talking to them one day on Facebook on video chat, and they're going to school at Metropolitan State University, and they're like, yeah, it's kind of Metro. It's much like public community college. I think you really like it. I was like, okay, well, what do I have to lose? So
Yeah.
I got in touch with Betty, my advisor at the AAC. I got in touch with the Trio director at Metro. Allie, who's not there and who's no longer in that position now. And I was like, hey, this is who I am. I'm looking to transfer. What do I need to do?
Uh-huh.
And so we connected over Zoom that summer. And I told her, and she was asking questions like, what do you have an idea of what major you want to go for? I was like, well, no, and I told her what I wanted to do, working with people on the autism spectrum. And so Allie, she was so awesome. She knew how to deal with me because she's worked in the autism field before. Um, and so she suggested that I major in human services, concentrate in nonprofits.
Uh-huh.
And those were the instructors I had in there were amazing. They were really helpful. I learned so much. Eventually, the concentration got phased out because of low enrollment, which really sucked. But for me, it was a kind of a blessing in disguise because I was looking to switch out of that concentration anyway.
Uh-huh.
And so that's how I got into the individualized studies program. Because with the individualized studies program, unlike like history or communications or business, where all the classes are laid out, I had the autonomy to pick up my own classes to gear toward what I wanted to do. And part of that entailed writing a thesis type essay saying, hey, these are the classes I picked out, this is why I want to do with my life.
So can you tell me a little bit about that? Because what was your major before you transferred to MSU at Colorado State University? What was your major?
Well, I was a psychology major at the start, and then I switched over to the human development family studies concentration.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand the degrees are set up a certain way, as required by Department of Education and all that. For me, I felt like when I was with psychology, I just felt like I wasn't going very far with it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's on me. And with the HDFS program, there were classes I was taking at like a 3,000 level. That a lot of stuff I was learning was important and it was valuable, but a good portion of the content I learned in my psychology classes at the community college. And so I guess, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing on the university. That was really my issue. But for me, I was just kind of bored because I was just because I was learning things that I had learned before, and yes, it was very valuable information, like growth of development from infancy to teenagers, and gerontology areas. And so there's a lot of there's good things about each of the programs. I learned valuable things from each of the programs. I think the biggest problem for me was that I was kind of how I come from a community college, and then going to a big university like CSU where there are just roughly 35,000 students. That was quite an adjustment for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just didn't know how to adjust to that and how to succeed in that kind of environment. And so kind of going back to switching over to Metro, and I'm so grateful for Sebastian and for Dominic for convincing me to go Metro. If it wasn't for them, I would not have got my degree.
Wow.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Are you seeking guidance to enhance your TRIO project's effectiveness and success? Look no further. Nosotros Education Center, NEC, is here to empower your TRIO project with expert consulting services. NEC's mission is to promote the effectiveness and impact of TRIO programs. Since 2003, NEC has specialized in providing professional development and in-service staff trainings, allowable cost services, for TRIO projects across the country. The team at NEC, with over 60 years of combined TRIO experience, offers customized workshops and seminars for project staff, compliance assessments, external evaluations, working on and submitting APRs, database customization and training, development of policies and procedures manuals, and project implementation or reorganization services. Additionally, NEC has secured over $774 million in federal funding with a 92% success rate through their live and on-demand proposal workshops, assistance with data collection and review, detailed technical reviews, and comprehensive proposal development services. Join the hundreds of colleges, agencies, and TRIO projects across the country who benefited from NEC's expertise. Nosotros Education Center, your partner in TRIO's project success. Visit their website at nosotros.edu.org. Again, that's nosotrosedu.org.
And now, back to the podcast.
So this was a huge move, changing from one school, figuring out a new graduation plan, and now you're a graduate of Metropolitan State University. How did you manage this entire change? Because the transition sounds rough. Was it difficult?
It was a bit of a it was a transition like any big transition is. Thankfully, I had the right support systems. I had Betty Sims who was my advisor at CSU with the TRIO program, and I had Allie, who was my advisor when I transferred to Metro. She's awesome. She's amazing. And last I heard, Allie was working with the State Board of Education and teaching classes at DU, I believe.
Wow, that's awesome.
And and we actually connected on a lot of things because she also was a Pueblo native, went to PCC, got her undergrad, got her bachelor's at Metro, and then wanted to get her master's and doctorates at other universities in Denver.
Hmm.
And she also, like I mentioned earlier, she has experience working with autistic people, so I think that was very helpful for her to deal with me and helping make the transition easier for me. And so huge shout out to her for that. And huge shout out to Betty and to Melly for their roles in my journey and for your role in my journey.
You did all the work, man. You did all the work.
Yeah, all three of you in Fort Collins were huge roles in my success during my time at Metro. You for getting my story out now twice. and even in small ways mentoring me in a way, and that's why I got with Betty and with Melly a lot of mentorship, because when I transferred to CSU, I was very naive, very uninformed about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Because just before the pandemic hit and everything that came with that nationally and globally, Melly and I had conversations that I never had before, like that I couldn't have before with other environments.
Mm-hmm.
She really helped me understand issues within immigration.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something and I'm not angry at like family or people that I knew before Fort Collins, because I didn't know how to have those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. But Melly just really knew how to explain things to me in ways that was meaningful and that I could understand. and that's where a lot of the rest of my journey came in, because with Metro, with the human services program, I was required to take multicultural issues in human services, which take a lot of those hard conversations, like immigration, race, LGBT, and other such things like that.
Mhm.
And that's where part of my coursework lays, and is in those hard conversations, because with autism, that doesn't discriminate. It impacts so many different communities. And in fact, when I was diagnosed on the spectrum in '95, the rates were roughly 1 in 500, and it was primarily white boys being diagnosed,
Mhm.
whereas today it's roughly 1 in 36. And based on what I read and researched, a lot of that is a lot of awareness, a lot more education in the last 30 years, um, and a lot more people of like gender and racial and ethnic backgrounds are being diagnosed. And this might be getting to another question we have ahead, but one of the things I was able to do at Metro was something was be a part of a program called Brother to Brother, and that's a group run run by a guy who tries to does everything to help help urban men in a city in areas like Denver and the
Mhm.
surrounding areas, and of like I mean it's open to all men of all ethnics and races, but his main goal is to help, if I understand it right, is to help people of like racial and ethnic backgrounds. And I'm very grateful that he let me participate so I can understand the different experiences better.
Mhm.
And with that program, they started a thing called an event a annual an annual event called the Men of Color Summit, which entails of it's basically an all day thing. Like there's a breakfast, you get a goodie bag with a little pencil bag, a long sleeve shirt with the amount of color on it on the front of it, and there's speakers, there's breakout rooms, and so when it first started, I signed up, I went to it, listened to the speakers, I did the breakout rooms, and now I mean, I know I learned a lot from it, but I learned more than I initially anticipated. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity to hear from the various speakers and the other people that were there and participating.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know that we're gonna get more in touch with like what your degree program entails, but can you tell me like the major difference that you experienced between Metro and Colorado State? What were some similarities? What were some things that you really liked about both universities or and colleges? And ultimately, what drew you to MSU?
Um, well, when I was looking at Metro after my friends recommended it, um, I noticed a lot of the because the one of the big things that I noticed was the resources,
Mhm.
and I think that's the big thing with that's the kind of a big difference, because with Metro being a kind of a smaller school, they're in a position to find more,
Mhm.
because with CSU, like we mentioned, was roughly like 35,000 students,
A
and
lot.
so that's probably gonna put a lot of financial strain to give more resources than they're able to. But CSU, I there were resources that I did benefit from with CSU, like the standard disability office, which I was able to get accommodations. Um, I was able to um, I was able to participate in the Rounds Against Hunger program, and that was really beneficial because that I was with the busy schedules of student life, you
Right.
know, you just don't get a whole lot of time to sit down and eat at all. And I'm a
True.
big foodie, and so yeah, that was a great thing to have there. And with Metro, I had they have something called the CARES team,
Mhm.
which connects you to housing options, housing programs, food stamps, to food pantries, and many other supports. If you're experiencing mental health issues or interpersonal issues like professional and personal, they'll help you connect to different resources within the community and within campus. Um, there's the and then there's in both the universities I was a participant in the trio.
Oh, right on.
um, and um, and that was another difference with the size of the offices with because you know how the trio offices and at CSU is huge and it's massive, but and with the one at Metro, you could probably fit the whole office in the computer lab at Metro and the tutoring office.
Yeah.
And, so going from something that was that big to something that small was a bit of an adjustment.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk about your degree? Like you went from psychology to human development studies to this new major. Talk to us about that. And what is it in? And how did it impact you? Or what was it the thing that you liked about it?
Well, like I mentioned, I was when I transferred to Metro, I was a human services major concentrated in nonprofits, and there's so many great concentrations within the human services program, like fire sciences, at-risk youth, mental health, and last I heard, the nonprofit concentration got moved to the business degree program.
Mhm.
So 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 yay for that. Um, but when they got phased out of the human services concentration, um, and at the time I didn't know until I talked to the department advisors, Angela. She was awesome too. So I talked to her. I was like, hey, I'm kind of wanted to get out of this concentration. What can we do? She's like, well, you're in luck. That concentration is being phased out. My best advice would be to check out the individualized degrees because the mental health concentration would add another year to my to my education. It's like, okay, let's see what individualized studies has to say.
Mhm.
And so with individualized degrees, they do have a few preset options like aviation, for example. If there's student for those students who are interested in individualized studies but want to do aviation,
Mhm.
um, for one example, for me, I talked to one of the advisors. They told me, hey, this is what's going on. This is the deal. If you want to do your own thing, that's awesome. But here's what you need to do. You need to pick out your own classes. You need to write an essay about it. You need to be super specific in that essay. And 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 so with that, I was able to include all the classes that I took with human services and add that into my individualist degree, and then add on a few of those diversity classes in my degree plan, and that and if I and I was also able to add research methods for human services, which I took, and that was awesome because it gave me an opportunity to learn about like research surveys, um, collecting data from those surveys, and and that was so awesome, both both professionally and personally,
Mhm.
because the concentration because but the focus of my research project for that class was how religious trauma impacts people.
Wow.
And religion can be a very very great thing if it's done right. For me, in my experience, I have some religious trauma in my past, so that was my influence with that. And and so when I share that to my personal Facebook page, because I still have a lot of friends and family who are religious, and so I was like, hey, this, I realized a lot of my friends and family are religious. My intent is not to put religion down, is not to try to bash it or anything like that. This is just for simply for educational purposes
Mhm.
and to learn more about this area and not and to humble brag for a second. My out of me out of everyone in my class, I got the most responses to my survey, and I got like 106, 108 responses to my survey,
Wow.
which is way more than I expected. Because I thought it would be like 40 or 50 responses, and that was just amazing. And I there was one guy in my class I felt really really bad for because he only got like 6 or 7 responses to his survey,
Mhm.
which was something to do with like addiction.
Mhm.
And like, if I knew he if I knew that and before, I would have helped him out, get more responses and all that. I mean, not that it was all that impactful toward the grade, but I just felt bad that I got so many responses and he got so few.
I think it was your approach, right? Like you've been able to create a survey that a lot of people can respond to and made it accessible, maybe?
Yeah, yeah, and when as I was collecting the data and writing the paper, I realized, this is something that people want to talk about because, there's, because based on some of the things I've read, there are more and more people leaving religion as a whole for various reasons,
Mhm.
and so that was very insightful for me, and also very very healing for me
Uh-huh.
because it made me feel like that I wasn't alone in my own stuff, and made a lot of other people feel like that they weren't alone, and that was just amazing.
That's awesome. Tyler, first of all, congratulations on like a very successful research opportunity that you've been able to really reach out and get and collect a lot of data. So my next question to you here is like, now that you've learned all this, you got your degree, what do you hope to do with this degree that you've earned?
So and so on to kind of integrate the last question into this, the with the individualized degrees program, if I kept my GPA above a certain point, GPA point like 2.5, excuse me,
Are you good?
I was allowed to name my degree whatever I wanted, and and so if my GPA fell below that 2.5, then it'll be named cross curricular studies.
Uh-huh.
And so I was so because my GPA was just a hair above that 2.5, um because I earned the GPA of 2.57. I was allowed to name my degree advocacy for marginalized groups. Um and so I'm so with that, I'm really I'm hoping to work with autistic people,
Mhm.
especially in rural areas,
Mhm.
because having grown up in Pueblo, you know, there's a lot of resources for kids, and we need that very very much. But once we turn 18, 21, it's like, okay, good luck wherever you wind up, and that's not for us, that's not for our families, and I feel responsible to help the community the best I can.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I feel like that's the direction that you're headed in. Can you talk about the things you already alluded to, some research that you've already done while at MSU? But what lesson will you take away from MSU? Like, what is the thing that it has taught you, and you feel like, wow, coming from MSU, coming from CSU, this is what I've learned.
Um, well, there's so much I learned. Um, two of the biggest ones off the top of my head are um um gather resources, know your resources as much as possible, and keep up to date with those, because resources are always changing. There's always new resources coming up. Excuse me. And the other lesson I learned was always be mindful of others and others people's experiences, because we I because I know we never know what other people are going through. Or okay, so I was talking about my friend Amber that I knew from Metro. She was really patient with me, especially during that research class, because she was basically my rock during that class. She helped me a lot with that, with a lot of the research aspects and the questions of my survey, and she helped me understand a lot of things within that class and beyond that. And so I'm very grateful to Amber for that. Um, um, and so those are so and so with her, those my try to understand where other people are coming from, and listen to other people's experiences, and and keep up to date with the various resources. Um, and so I think those are the biggest things I've learned, especially with my workday job on campus there. Um, and so yeah.
Wonderful. Can you tell me, were you able to connect with a TRIO program? You alluded to earlier that you connected with a TRIO program on campus. Uh, was it the same student support services program, or did you feel like it was vastly different?
Yeah, yes, it was the same student support services program. Um, I was the first person I connected with at Metro. She was so awesome, so great. And she connected me to a lot of the resources that I utilized on 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 campus there and beyond. Um, and then when she left the position, I was able to transition to another advisor, Tisha. Tisha was just as awesome as Allie. Um, she helped me a lot with a lot of the things that I needed to be successful at Metro. And and last I heard, Tisha now is now a an advisor with the social work master's program.
Wow.
And huge another huge shout to Tisha. And I met a lot of incredible people through that office as well. So like Amber and another friend of mine, V. I can't. I'm sorry, V. I can't pronounce your name, but V was super awesome too. Um, um, she she was one of those people that was really impactful for my life, and in fact, she did a lot of did a lot of volunteer work with with people on the autism spectrum too, and I thought that was amazing, and it meant a lot to me that that there are people who are volunteering their time and their resources to improve to help improve the lives of people on the spectrum. And so another huge shout out to V.
What services or what support did you receive while at MSU?
Well, other than Trio, I utilized the disability office. My advisor in the disability office was Melissa McCormick. She's another awesome person. We connected a lot. We She helped me get the accommodations that I needed. Um, there was the CARES team that I mentioned earlier. There's the the food pantry, which is basically like a 7-Eleven there. And what was awesome about the food pantry there was that it, all everything you could get would go on your card, your student ID card,
Mhm.
and there are points associated with each thing, with each type
Oh,
of thing, like a frozen items, refrigerated items, canned goods, um 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 what's produce, like vegetables, fruits, and that was very very helpful with help me build up a kind of like a food pantry a little bit.
mhm.
Because there was once, because when I was excited, I survived on food stamps there, and that was very very impactful, because the cares team helped me with the paperwork to get onto the food stamps. And there was one summer about 2 years ago, I want to say, when I was living on about $150 a month on food stamps. And so I was a little bit worried, but thankfully, because of my food storage, I can manage a little bit easier.
Mhm.
And so um I had like I had bags of like cereal stacked up. I had bags of like chicken and tuna and another and ramen stacked up, and to help me survive that summer. And then that fall I was able to get that up to where I normally was during the regular year.
Wow.
And
So, yeah,
oh, I'm sorry.
go for it. Go ahead.
And another huge resource that was helpful for me was the speech. There's a program within the speech language pathology program called the Isaac program, and that the Isaac program is something that helps autistic students at Metro. And they took and when I joined that support, especially a support group for autistic students at Metro, and when I first joined it during the pandemic, they had a couple of different neat little aspects to it. Like there's the weekly conversation um meetings, and then they had a separate thing for gaming for those of us on the spectrum who loved the game. And then that was really interesting. The woman who started that program, Shiva, she had a lot of experience working with people on the spectrum, and so that was something that really helped me out a lot. Thank you, Shiva, for what you did and all that. And she eventually went on took a personal leave, and for and then for for whatever she was needing, and she eventually took a job in Ohio. And so there was another woman named Laura, who is so awesome. She took over the group when it was virtual, and as the world was coming back to in person in like 2021 and then and forward. And Laura's awesome. She's amazing. Another huge shout out to her. Both her and Shiva really helped me out with like social skills and social anxiety. And I'm very very grateful for both. I've known a lot of great people through that support group. A couple of which I'm still in touch with, and so huge shout out to the to that and to the speech language pathology program, which undergrad and graduate students participate in in that support group as part of their as far as their curriculum to and all that. And I think it's part of their senior experience. I'm not 100% sure how that works.
Absolutely.
That was another wonderful resource.
So now that you've graduated, what's next for you?
Well, I've been searching for months and months for a job within the field at various autism centers within the Pikes Peak region. Um, I had two interviews earlier in the week, and they and both the places that I interviewed that want me to come in for a second interview, which I did not expect that at all.
Yeah.
And and both the areas that I interviewed for, they're they do pediatric services for
Oh, wow.
kids on the spectrum.
Uh-huh.
So and the positions are both positions are for registered behavior therapists, which which would entail of me working closely with a ABA therapist, um, implementing different therapies to help each kiddo out with various with what each kiddo needs, and and also with a lot of play therapy as well.
Right on. So what keeps you busy on your day to day?
Just keep on applying for jobs within within the industry. I also moved back home to help my mom out with some of her stuff because she's mobile limited, and she and so she needs someone to help her out with some of the basic things like grab a bowl down from an upper cabinet, or to or to move laundry from like the dryer to like the bedroom, because it kills her physically to do things like that. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to be there to help her out, especially since she's one of the people that that's inspired me to want to do what want to work with people with disabilities. Um, and she's also told me about a lot about Temple Grandin, who I'm so grateful I've had the opportunity to meet and talk with on three different occasions. Um, yeah, three different occasions. And so I mean, I know I'll never be able to make the kind of impact that Temple's made on in the autism world, but if I can make even a fraction of the impact that Temple's made, I'll be satisfied.
That's a wonderful like person to look up to and to create that aspiration for yourself. That's amazing, Tyler. And I know that you're going to be just as impactful in whatever field that you end up in, that you're going to make a huge impact. Um, so you've seen or heard on the news that the TRIO programs have come under intense scrutiny and their funding has been threatened to be pulled. As an alum of the TRIO program, what is your reaction to this news?
Honestly, it scares me because Trio, with if it was not for Trio, I would not have gone through college. Um, no, I would not have met the people that I met and gotten the mentorship that I gotten. Um, and also I'm also a alum of the Job Corps program. I went to the one outside of Grand Junction, and Job Corps was Job Corps was hands down the greatest thing I ever did for myself. Because if it wasn't for Job Corps, I wouldn't have gone to college. I wouldn't have gotten the trail, and I would not have been impacted as much as I have by both programs. And it was actually my mom who encouraged me to get into trio because she herself is a trio alum, and she went to the same community college I went to, then transferred to CSUP, where she got art degrees, focused on ceramics and sculpture, and so and honestly, the fact that the funding for both programs scares me, because there are some people who are very reliant on the programs, because of like people like me, for example, I really need that community, and I know there's a lot of other people who need that same support, who are like who are come from various first generation backgrounds or low income backgrounds, and or have or live with other types of disabilities, and at least for me, Trio is one of the programs that helped me feel seen and feel heard. In fact, it was during my time at Trio in Denver at Trio, when Ali was there. I don't know if you remember the bill that was passed a few years ago, where standardized testing is now optional in the state of Colorado for college admissions. I was able to testify in support of that bill, and thankfully that bill passed, and I'm very fortunate for that because when I took the SAT, I didn't do very well, and I felt like the doors to college were slammed in my face.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned no, you have options. You can still succeed, and Trio is one of those things that helped me succeed. And so yeah. To answer that question, it scares me.
Thank you for your openness and honesty. So, Tyler, I'm going to ask you this next question about being an alumni and talking to the alumni community for Trio. What can they do to advocate for Trio? Because I think the messaging within the Trio alumni, it's like, yeah, we want to support Trio, but how do we do that?
So the biggest thing I would say is write to Congress people, write to your senators, and just be like, hey, this program really helped me because of X, Y, and Z. Please speak up for me. Please speak up for my community. Because we hired our representative, we voted these representatives in to represent us. That's what they're there for. I know that I realize it doesn't always feel like it, but if we do our part and do like write in, call in, go to town hall meetings, and make our voices heard, we can make a difference. Even though you're just one person, history has shown that one person can make an impact and can start a floodgate of other people to come out and speak forward and all that.
Absolutely. Tyler, always good to catch up with you, my friend. Thank you so much for stopping by the podcast. As always, we're going to leave you the room to do the sign-off for all of our guests who come onto the podcast. So would you like to do the honor to sign off?
Yes, I will. Trio works. Trio's awesome. And let's talk Trio. Thank you so much for having me on. Trio works.
Are you a participant, alum, or staff of a Trio program? Do you want your program highlighted? You or your program could be featured in an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Trio. Get a hold of us by going to our Facebook page or Instagram and send us a direct message. Search for Let's Talk Trio. We want to get your story to the public.
You just heard from our guest, Tyler Loven, graduate of Metropolitan State University in Denver and Trio Student Support Services alum. Thank you, Tyler, for being on the podcast and for sharing your Trio journey. Remember, if you would like to be on the Let's Talk Trio podcast or know a staff, advocate, participant, or alumni, send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. That email again is letstalktrio@gmail.com. A heartfelt thanks to our individual supporters, Angelica Villalpando, Dr. Jamie Motley, Dr. Ryan Barone, Dr. Jeff Naputi, Angelica Valdez, Rosario Riley, Felicia Rivera, Eric Lemaster, Jeff Calden, and Jaded Electronics. Thank you to our corporate sponsors, TrioJoblist.com, Nosotros Education Center, Longsdale Publishing, Student Access, and The Trio Store, powered by Proforma. Visit www.thetriostore.com, your source for Trio graduation stoles. Thank you all so much for your continued support of this podcast. You too can be a sponsor of the Let's Talk Trio podcast in one of three ways. Become a monthly patron on Patreon. Our base level starts at $1 a month. Become a corporate sponsor by placing an ad on the podcast. Contact us for details. Become a supporter with a one-time donation to the podcast business PayPal account. Our business handle is at Let's Talk Trio. I'd like to take a moment to thank our honorary members of Let's Talk Trio podcast, Roderick Chambers, Tony Ho, Scott Kendall, and Susan Cramp. The Let's Talk Trio podcast team is John Russell, audio engineer, music producer and composer, and post-production editor. Amelia Castañeda, script supervisor, marketing manager, social media manager, and producer. Juan Rivas, executive producer and host. Be sure to follow the Let's Talk Trio podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. This episode was recorded Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.